know you remember, but when the Pope came to St. Louis in 1999, was
Yes.
it? Was that the first? I heard on the radio today that was the first time the Pope had ever come out against the death penalty. Did it in St. Louis? I don't know if you recall that.
Well, I don't know if it was the first time he came out against the death penalty, but he came out against a specific death penalty punishment. There was a man that was about to be executed during the Pope's visit here, and his execution was put off a couple weeks as kind of a courtesy PR move. The Pope heard about it and appealed to Governor Carnahan to commute the sentence, and Governor Carnahan did.
Governor Carnahan actually said, he didn't know it was going to come. And the Pope came down to him after a service and just walked up to his face, said, you need to commute this. And he says, it's pretty hard to turn the Pope down.
I was working for the Archdiocese at the time, and what the Pope said that was so novel, I mean, the Catholic Church has been opposed to capital punishment for a long time, was he said the situations in which it is justified, you are justified in using the death penalty in the United States are virtually nil. You have prisons where you can lock up people 24 hours a day, keep them in solitary. You can never, they'll never come into contact with another person. They can never hurt another person again. You're never justified under those situations in using the death penalty, because in that situation, you're only using it for revenge. And revenge is not a legitimate purpose.
And Bob McCullough just said as much. He said, well, we don't really know about the deterrent effect when he spoke on this program earlier. Well, we don't really know about the deterrent effect. It can go either way. That's not the reason we do it. Well, then what is the reason? The only reason that's left is vengeance and retribution.
Punishment was
and
the word he
punishment.
used.
Yes. So.
The other thing I heard on the radio today.
If you believe everything you hear on the radio.
Depends on who's talking.
Since you've been on it, I believe everything.
Is the what company this puts us in as a country? You guys would be-
Russia, Iran, Japan, although they really don't carry them out.
China.
China.
North Korea.
I mean, it's the people that we denigrate consistently in terms of our political speech, and yet we are aligned with them in this particular punishment, which just doesn't make sense.
If you take out North Korea and China, because they don't report their statistics on executions, the U.S. was number 4 in 2013 in the number of executions by the government. And I think the ones ahead of them were Iraq and Iran, which were in the hundreds. I think that's a pretty interesting company to keep.
And it creates an issue in international affairs as well. Countries in the European Union will not extradite anyone who faces the death penalty back to the United States. So if you've got a terrorism who goes to the European Union, someone who we claim to be a terrorist or anything else who goes to the European Union to seek asylum or anything else, if they are in the European Union, they won't be extradited to the United States if they face the death penalty. And that's a real issue for international relations and our ability to enforce our own laws.
You say you cover government. How give us a political lens on all of this in our state here?
I mean, Governor Nixon's been in power for a while. I mean, he's been Attorney General.
I was just going to say, as the family of Kelly Hall pointed out the other day, as they expressed their gratitude to him, he was the AG when Ferguson was convicted.
No, this is a very interesting situation because after we published our story that the pharmacy that was selling the drug was not licensed in Missouri, there was a large outcry from a lot of the Democrats in the state legislature, and they've sponsored some bills that would curtail the DOC's power in this. But I mean, really, when you look at the two people who are responsible for all of this, ultimately, I mean, it's the heads of their party, which is the AG, Attorney General Chris Koster, and Governor Nixon, and they're both Democrats. In Missouri, this really isn't a Republican and Democrat issue. I looked at the numbers pretty recently, and I think, but don't hold me to this, but I think that a Democrat was likely to have a little more than 3 executions carried out during their term, and a Republican was less than 1 during their term.
You don't have to be right until you get on the radio, because then we're going to believe it.
Everything's loose on television.
Yeah, fine. We're on the internet.
No, we're on the internet.
Please.
I'm sorry.